Welcome back to another episode of the Ball to Ball series. Thank you guys for joining us. Today, I got a special guest with me, Terrence Stephen. I know Terrence is one of a good friend of mine out of Stanford back in the day. He's connected with my homie Larry, who was actually on a previous episode. So, Terrence, we're happy to have you. Thanks for joining us today, bro. Give the people a little bit of intro about yourself, family.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate you having me. Like you said, Terrence Stevens, originally out of the DC, Maryland area, but currently living in Atlanta, Georgia for the last 8 years, real estate broker and team lead down here. So just enjoying this Atlanta life, this down south life, and really looking forward to the rest of this series for sure.
Okay, bro, I got a question for you, man. You talked about two super dope cities. You talked about DC, DMV area. Now you're talking about being down in the A. If you had to pick one, if you were like, yo, you've experienced both, and you had to be like, yo, I'm not gonna lie, this city's a bit better. I give them the edge. Which city would you give the edge?
I think it's an unfair advantage because Atlanta currently pays me, and I've been here. I've been able to become an adult here. I was a child back at home, and so I think the maturity that takes place in your 20s, which is essentially I spent all of my 20s in Atlanta. I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about Black culture. I learned so much about the South and what it means to be hospitable and authentic. So it's just, I mean, for many more reasons, Atlanta has the edge for me right now. So I got to give it to the A for sure.
No doubt, no doubt. I got to ask you another question, man, because you've been in the A for a while. First, let me ask you: are you into hip hop music? Is that a thing?
I'm more of an R&B head, but I definitely I'm into music, so it just
Okay. Well, I need you to give me. It don't gotta be hip hop then, even though I don't know if Atlanta is super known for R&B as much, but maybe they are. You tell me. I need to hear your top three Atlanta artists.
Wow. Okay. Outkast has to be in there regardless, right? We can split them up or take them together. Let's go Outkast. I'm gonna say old T.I. Yeah, old T.I. was just a gym.
Rap music, T.I.?
Man, middle school, high school, like T.I. was just in my stereo. I don't know what he's doing these days to give me what I need, but old T.I. was a gym, and man, I'm gonna give it up for the ladies, right? This is gonna be a off-brand response, but for R&B ladies right now, Summer Walker is from Atlanta, and she's definitely giving us R&B vibes, right? A little more to work on, but she's an aspire. I mean, she's a top R&B girl coming out of Atlanta right now, so I got to give it to her music.
No doubt, no doubt. Now, you know what? I was waiting for you to say I'm a Migos future guy myself. I was waiting for you to hit me with one of those. You went deep into the bag though, and I can respect that. Respect that. So something else we like to talk about, especially on this Come Home Ball to Ball series, bro, is to really dive deep into the concept of home, right? We talk about coming home in terms of shaving your head and embracing what that comes along with. But the idea of home, the concept relates to a lot of people in many different ways, specifically about how they were raised, things like that. You mentioned DMV being your home growing up. Tell me about what home means to you, bro. Like anything that word brings up, any memories?
Man, that's funny. Ironically enough, home means probably a bit more to me than a lot of other people because in my adulthood, I started a career essentially in real estate and getting people home, right? So home means more to me in so many ways because I'm in the space where I'm trusted to make home for somebody, to put them in that space, to really cultivate their own idea of what home means, right? So I think ultimately it's a space that heals you, right? It's a space that makes it's a getaway. It should be therapeutic to you when you had a long day. You want to get home. When you feel weary, you want to get home. It's a space that should rejuvenate you. And particularly for me, 2 years ago, I broke my leg in a real tragic accident and had to spend a lot of time in a hospital. And I realized that I felt like I was dying because I wasn't home, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I begged them to let me go back home because I knew what that space meant. And the moment I got home, I felt different. I walked different. I talked different. I ate different. It was just it reminded me why I chose home, where I chose it, and what it meant. So I could go on and on that for days, but home means a lot, and really it's the space that you come to when you need to get away.
Yo, that was a super dope answer, specifically from the real estate tip. I actually spent some time in real estate before I went to business school in Raleigh, NC. So we got talking about real estate one day too. But bro, what I think was super dope about that answer was you talked about how in home you can move different, right? It's your space, a sacred space. You're comfortable where you can move in a certain way. And to me, that kind of gets into the conversation we're about to have about hair loss, right? A lot of men out here are dealing with hair loss, struggling through that, and they can't be authentic. You can't be yourself because you're trying to hide something under that hat. You can't be yourself because you put that Beijing on, that spray or whatever. But we talking about like, hey, come home, come somewhere where you're safe, you're sacred, you can be yourself. When you finally shave that, that's a burden. You take, take it off your shoulders. You know what I'm saying? So your answer was ridiculously spot on to what we're trying to do here with the brand. So man, that was amazing, G.
Yeah, dope. Yeah, being bald is not easy, but it's, man, there's something up. I remember when we were little kids, man, and we were used to. I think, and I don't know, like bald to me just meant something. When I seen a bald man, he walked different, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a stature that he had. He demanded respect when he came in the room, and it's just like it's honestly just like a woman who wears her natural hair, right? You're not covering anything. You feel the most vulnerable, but you're still in a space where you're authentic, right? So I think it's beautiful. Like bald is beautiful, and I think bald on men, bald on women, like bald is just beautiful. So I know you're gonna touch on that. I'm not gonna steal your shine.
Hey,
But
talk that talk, my dog. Talk that talk. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad I ain't got to put the battery in your back. You're gonna talk that talk no matter what. My God, my God. But yeah, man. All right, so let's get into it though, bro, man, because we know why you're here. We got a kick game about your hair loss story. Right now, you're rocking the ball and you talking that talk because you've been there for a while. But we want to take it back a bit to kind of where it started off. So take me back, bro. Middle school, high school, whatever you can remember. And what did you have going on up top then?
Yeah, man. I tried the long hair thing a couple of times throughout my journey. It was never really me. I think I remember like times I would wake up in middle school when I tried the long hair thing, and it would just be patted down. You have to pick it out, and you picking hairs out. I mean, it just, so I was like, you know what? I had a lot of people don't believe me if they see me with old pictures. I had a great grain of hair. I'm talking about like it was some Indian in my blood somewhere. Right? Like, it was wavy, it was slick, it was dark. And I always kept it cut. That was my thing. Like, let's get to the barber. Sometimes I would do the do-rag thing every now and then, but like you would just always know me to have a low Caesar. I'm in the barber shop once every week, maybe once every 2 weeks. That's the way we would do it. I don't know why we started, man. It used to be like every 2 weeks. That was like the consistent thing. Now we go to the barber every week. So I stayed pretty consistent. I had a great grain of hair throughout middle school and high school.
So question, G, you tell them you had a great grain of hair, and obviously it's hard for me to see it now. Yeah. But was this self-proclaimed, or did you have other people being like, yo?
Not like serious. I mean, the only thing that probably was off is I'm 6'2", so a lot of people can't necessarily see my full set of hair. But like, I mean, I used to have girls try to play with my hair, and like, it was like, yo, you got good hair. And both of my mom is light skinned and got pretty hair. My grandma says, everybody's like, oh, you must get your hair from your, yeah, whatever. I would rock, with a brush, wave it down, keep the do-rag on. But I think over time, and not I know over time, those products that we use, the pink lotion and the Murrays, the thick ass Murrays, and anything that we would put, you really start to damage your hair over time, and especially if it's not thick follicle and you don't have baldness in your family already. So I think ultimately it was all about the way that I tried to maintain that hair as we got through the years, that really put a lot of stress on it and life, right? So as I get through middle school and high school, I get to college and I'm like, oh, okay, like I start to see homies lose their hair around me and I'm still like, woo, all
Wait,
right.
so you had homies, yeah, some of your homies in college was coming along in
Hair,
college.
absolutely. Yeah, especially because when I'm at Stanford and playing ball, I've got guys who are older than me. So I might be 18, but some guys are 22, 23. And that might be when you start you know what I'm saying, your hair loss. So it just depends your age. It depends where you come from and your genetics. But I didn't really start to notice my hair loss, which was never, and I'm grateful for this, right? I see a lot of people who start in the middle, right? And then they start to work themselves out. And I'm like, ooh, if that ever was me, I would have just, right? But mine was so like inconspicuous and it started right here on the edges. And I think a lot of people sometimes have that problem where your corners start to get light. And that for me was like, it was stressful because I was used to having a dark tone to my head, right? And that way you could really see the waves. But I started to have to get back to the barber every week instead of every 2 weeks, because when my hairs grows back, you can see that there's some hairs on the corners that don't grow back.
So Terrence, where you had peaked, obviously, like you said, so you taking different measures, like going to the shop more to make sure people are not peeping. You're peeping early. Did anybody else notice yet, or nobody really peeping?
Yeah, my barber noticed, but he doing his job, so he not really trying to say stuff. But then I got homies who was like, man, like, yeah, them edges is kind of, I'm like, man, I know it. Like, but, and I'm not one for the Beijing. And like, again, I did that in my earlier years. I would need to be sharp for football pictures. So I still got a good grain of hair, but when them barbers came out with them Beijings, boy, it was like, my hairline can look like this. And we never really knew it looked crazy, right? It was the thing, right? Yep. So I think once some people started to say stuff to me and little slick stuff, right? Like, damn, man, you been at a barber? Like, yeah, nigga, I was just there 2 days ago, like, right? But it's important to take that feedback, that constructive criticism, if you will, and start to assess yourself. I wasn't self-confident about it. I was more so aware, right? Because, and I think the most important thing, I was a Black man who had just, for me personally, at the time that I began to bald, I was a Black man who just started entrepreneurship in business. And so for me, it was very much about the appearance, right? And so it was not like it was not like I was self-conscious about it so much where I needed to cut my hair big. Hats were never my thing. So it was like, you either gonna see the way that it looks or not. So I think I was preparing for bald, like way before, yeah, like mentally in preparation for what I would look like bald and how I would walk and talk as a bald man. Like, and I just knew it was going to be a different confidence. But, and I think that becomes the struggle, is a lot of people don't mentally prepare for that. So they feel like a different person, but less of a person. Because in reality, especially those with long manes of hair, that becomes about your identity.
100%.
Right? And so when you shave all of that off, you are recreating yourself, your image. But for me, I needed that image to always be tight and up to par if I was working with clients or showing people homes or in videos and pictures. And I just couldn't keep going back and paying $25, $30 at the time for a haircut. Now they $50. Now you'll never see me with hair again. But that's a whole other topic for a different day, because these barbers are crazy. You get what I'm saying? So I'm glad I got out of the game early, because my haircuts were still 25, right? I'm like, and that's
we got to discuss that, bro. We do got to discuss that for a second.
Still, I remember when they were 12, like, and I would walk out crispy. You know what I'm saying? 12 beans. Now, so I'm glad I got out. I went bald in my 25th birthday. Let's call that 5 years ago. This is 2020, 2016. I was like, No, but seriously, I started to just get fed up with having to go back to the barbershop every week.
Okay.
Finally, I said, you know what? You're gonna go bald. Like, that's gonna be it. My birthday was coming up, and I knew I wanted to take myself on a trip. And actually, this is the top of 2017.
Well, hold on, T. So you had been through, and this was still only hairline. Like it wasn't. This had no thinning here, just hairline.
I am definitely an outlier for those who jump to bald. Like, I've seen some embarrassing male bald, like middle bald pattern, and I'm like, bro, cut it. Right.
Bro, let me show you mine, bro. Let me show you how down bad I was.
Yeah,
And you're gonna be like, oh, I see why you started this company. This how bad I was, dog. You're gonna trip out, bro. But I am shocked that you jumped that early. But
I jumped way early, and that's why I said I was preparing. Go ahead. Hi.
Bro.
All right. I'm gonna touch on that a little later because we're gonna pray on that, right? There are people, I knew people were worse than me. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people are like, you gonna go bald? Yes, I'm there already. I don't want to have to deal with this because even at that time, I was broke. So the only thing I was doing consistently as I was starting business and as an entrepreneur for the first time is getting my hair cut and eating, like, because I needed this, and putting gas in my car. So it was like, yo, this $25, $30 a week. That's $120 a month. Something got to give. I can put that money elsewhere. So I'm like, okay, I got to cut this. I can go buy an electric razor and never have to go to the barber again, or buy you know what I'm saying? So for me, it was financial. It was mental because I had already prepared myself. I was like, man, I was bald when I pledged. Like, and then they cut my hair. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I know what I look like. My head is round. It's big, but it's round. It fits my body. Like, no sweat. The only thing that I was concerned with was the color of my head being blended with the rest of my skin. So I was strategic. Okay. I was taking myself to go to Aruba for my 25th birthday. And I said, I'm gonna cut my hair. I'm gonna go bald right before I go to Aruba. So the entire time I'm in the islands, the sun is tapping on my head and I'm blending the skin. Man, I can show you the picture now. Like, I popped out. The first time they saw a bald picture from me, the people were like, what? What's going on? I was already there. It was a flex. Had my shirt open, had some sunglasses on. Like, you just couldn't tell me anything. I was ready for bald. And I think if there's anything I would want somebody to feel when they're thinking about is like be ready for what bald is. It's a different responsibility, right? There's nothing like a bald man that walks in a room suited that smells good. Like, you're like, who's he? Right? I think Wesley Snipes. That's a bald brother. I think the Jordans, right? Like, come on, these people they walking. I think Rick Ross right now. Like, Rick is like,
but Rick ran away from home, bro. He ran away. He needed to come back to the crib. He ran away from home.
I remember again when, like, and this is there's almost like this taboo. There's almost like this taboo idea around being bald right now, ironically enough, in this conversation, because there's so much new technology and enhancements and man weaves and hair replacement follicles. And I mean, so many things. And it's almost like, are we embracing bald? Or are we, you know what I'm saying? Are we trying to escape that for how long, right? At the end of the day, if you're gonna be bald, you're gonna be bald, right? There's only so coming home is literally a concept that fits perfectly, because a lot of people try to run so much, but you're spending more money, you're spending more time and energy just trying to be something that you aren't, right? I think about when I was growing up and I saw my grandfather. He was bald, but he was a boss, right? That man been bald, but was a boss the whole time, shaving his head early in the morning. Go ahead, my bad.
So T, now did you because it sounds like you, I mean, dog, this is great because you probably are the first guy who I've now probably, this is probably episode like 37, 38.
Wow.
You're the first one who's probably been like, I was prepared.
No, I was ready.
Like, and this is dope because this is kind of what the brand is hoping to get more men too, right? Because we don't believe that you need to go through that anxiety, that embarrassment, that self-consciousness anymore. Just like you talked about, I could name a list of ball men who out here killing it, who you can look at and be like, he doing it. Why can't I do it? You know what I'm saying? So the way that you approach this might be a freaking blueprint that needs to be shared. So I'm so happy we got to this episode because this is powerful. So you did though have a grandpa who you said you saw ball growing up. That what you just told me?
Yeah. My grandfather was definitely and thank God he's still alive, still ball, still, you know what I'm saying? I'm
say that.
Still doing this thing. So and I think touching on this is most important. I shared my hospital story earlier. The first thing I wanted to do when I was able to was shave my head in that hospital. And I literally had somebody I started with a straight razor back when I first came to baldness.
Well, hold on, T. I'm confused. This was after the accident you told me about earlier?
Yeah. It was
so you came home before and then again in Aruba or what?
No. Sorry. Okay. So that Aruba was in 2016. That was the beginning of bald. My accident was 2019, but I think I was really just kind of touching on every time I shave, it makes me feel new.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's nothing like rubbing that head after you have a fresh shave. And if you do it, a lot of people are scared too. And I think this is the thing that we don't speak on from a bald perspective. There's always different skin types. So a lot of people go through irritations and bumps and scarring because they don't know the proper way to shave. They don't know their grain of hair or how it runs on their head. And so they deal with things. So for me, I've always been blessed to be able to go any old way, shape, and still keep a fresh, unbumped head, right? And I think that is a blessing that I've had people come up to me and they're like, man, is that laser? Like, and I'm like, nah, this is an electric razor and some aftershave cream moisturizer just to give it a sheen, if you will. But other than that, man, this is dry. I shave dry.
Hey, T, that's a blessing, bro. And I'll tell you that off gate. I've been through my share of bumps, and imagine, bro, and this is me being even more vulnerable, but I like this conversation. I got to say this. Imagine you on my place, right? You trying to launch a brand for a ball, man, but you dealing with razor bump, right? You're supposed to be the face of it. You're supposed to be the one out and about, putting on for ball, man, but you dealing with razor bumps. Like for the last year, I had to deal with that. And it was almost just weird. It's like a weird dichotomy, right? Because like on one side, everybody's like, oh, Kenny's building this dope thing for ball, man, blah, blah, blah. But on the side too, I'm wearing hats all the time. I'm like, hey, I can't, bro. I was dealing with that for the last year. I went to the doctor, like, yo, give me something. Tried. I even did laser hair removal on the back of my skin, trying to. They're like, yo, you're getting this because you're shaving too often. Only way to stop that is by stopping your hair from growing. So you should try laser. Try a little prescription creams, bro. It was really this like very weird like thing I'm internally battling with. I'm like, how can you build this if you can't even embrace what you got right now? You know what I'm saying? So yes, those bumps can be the realest thing ever. But when you fix it or you can get past that stage and you get to the smooth ball, I mean, no better feeling, bro.
There's no better, man. I think of like, and again, I think this might go in a routine, but if I'm not shaving my head every day and a half, 2 days, it's like, nah, something's off, right? But when I get that shave, and typically, and my secret is I shave when my head is the driest. So typically in the morning, right, all of those oils have rubbed off or come off in your sleep. They're probably on your pillow, and we're not trying to retain oils in our head. That's for people with hair. So I like when my head is dry, when it's, you know what I'm saying, there's not a lot of friction. It's just going to give you clean, dry follicles. And I shave against the grain and with the grain, just so I can get that soft feel on both sides, going back and going forward. I go about my day, man. It takes me 10, 15 minutes if I'm listening to music and doing what I got to do.
Dog. One thing we got to talk about here that you just mentioned is the maintenance when it comes to having a bald head, right? Because you talked about earlier, you know, back in the day when homies had the waves, whatever, you go to the shop every 2 weeks. You know, if you're balling, you go every week, or if you trying to hide something, you might got to go every week. But now you shave your head and come home, you find yourself shaving every other day, every 2 days, which is funny to me because back in the day at the barbershop and stuff, I remember sometimes seeing bald. I'm like, yo, am I next to the barber? He'd be like, oh, not here in front of you. I look to the right, it's a bald dude. I'm like, he in front of me. He ain't got nothing to do. He just got a bald head. When realistically, the maintenance level low-key picks up when you come home. So let's talk about that, because I think people don't realize how much work it takes to really, you know, make this look good, bro.
Yeah, I think it's really all about, one, how you feel about your image in the first place, right? Some people can and will go bald and let a week go by, right? And then they get a shadow and then they get this look and then they're like, it's time, right? It doesn't fit in everybody's schedule to always be clean shaven, right? So for me, it's like either geared around my head feels like it looks crazy, like I'll feel it before I'll go see it in the mirror, right? Or I have an event coming up. I'm going out. I want to look good. I want to look fresh. I want to look clean. It's just like going to the barbershop. So the maintenance for me, although it picks up, I'm in control. I'm not waiting on anybody's appointment. I'm not paying anybody's money. I'm not having to reschedule or reevaluate my schedule because somebody else is late or running late. It's like, do I have 15 minutes to shave before I get out of the door? What am I doing today? Do I need to be boom, right? So the maintenance picks up, but your responsibility for your bald head and your image is your own to keep. So I think that goes also to the culture of barbers these days, right? Back when I was getting my hair cut, I used to just pop in the shop, no appointment, right? My little $20, 15, maybe a little tip, couple dollars, call it a day. Now it's pay before, get there on time, still wait 35, 40 minutes because I was late. And it's like, yo, like y'all charging me double and you're not doing the job. The customer service is not there. So for me, it was a relief because, and I'm a control freak by nature, like I took back my control of my own head. And this is our temple. You get what I'm saying? Like literally our temple. So for me, it was very much like, damn, I took back the control of how I look and how I feel about myself. No clippers needed.
Yeah. And dog, man, I mean, you preaching right now, the idea of taking back control, because really when you were going through that hair loss process again, you've lost all control. You not who you say you is, you trying to hide it, you trying to fight it, but there is a feeling of freedom. Yeah. When you finally come home and shave, and you are really taking back control, like you said, of your looks, that anxiety you may be dealing with, you know, whatever else you might have been going on with. Because, man, I can tell you stories about, you know, having a Beijing in, and, you know, my say I'm hanging out with this specific woman, and I'm like, oh, I can't, like, I'm about to stay at her crib. I'm like, I can't even put my head on a pillow. That like the levels of stress you can deal with, it's just too much, bro. It's just really too much.
And then you got to put yourself wrapped into a do-rag potentially to make that happen. But all you're doing is making it worse on yourself, right? So it's almost like that. The more you run away from home, the worse you make it on yourself. But for me, like I said, I embraced it. I really jumped out, and I remember walking into the barbershop the day I did it. And I kind of warned my barber, and I went back to the original bar. Like I've had a couple of barbers while I was in Georgia. I went back to the original barber that ever laid his hands on my head. And I was like, yo, it's time. And he was like, you sure? I was like, yeah, it's time. Like, clean, razor, shave me, get my beard together. I'm going out of the country. They're gonna see it when I get there. And that's how I ran it. And it was liberating, right? Because it was a new look, and and bald men don't get the opportunity, men in general, without a lot of hair, we don't get the opportunity to change our hairstyles too much, or do things that are different, and like you have to color your hair, cut it all off, like so. I think that there's a limit of options, but when you're bald, you don't have it. You bald, right? You are bald. So what does that look like? How do you wear that? How do you dress that up? Do you have earrings in? You have a hat on? You put a scarf on, or and it really sucks when you're bald and you sweat too much. So that's a whole nother topic, right? Like, because I can't do a lot of hats. I can't do a lot because now I'm right and I sweat out of my hat. So I really had to understand what bald was going to mean to my lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I got a couple questions off that, son. First, one thing I always talk to people about is like, yo, when you are ready to come home, maybe there is an ideal time to do it, right? You did it when you were leaving the country, right? So you like, yo, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna leave the country, and I'm gonna see what, I'm gonna be out there and just get used to this look, right? And I'm not gonna do it where tomorrow I gotta see my friends and my coworkers.
Yeah.
So there is certain times you can like, hey, is this a good time to try it? I know people that would try it when they, say they graduate college, they losing their hair, like, all right, before I start this new job, I'm gonna shave my head. So they don't know me as the kid that had this bad hairline. All they know is what I show up as. Yeah. Or before I move to a new city, right? There's different ways to try to time it. So people are just going to only see you as what you are. They don't know what you had in the past. So I think your process of going to Aruba was a grand idea. And I don't know if you thought it through that much, but I mean, obviously it worked out for you. Yeah. Now, second, you out there in Aruba, you got the shave head. Did you put on the gram or something?
Yeah, I remember I was like, man, I gotta take this shot. It's gotta be good. I've gotta look confident, right? Like I've got it because it's gonna be different. And the response was nuts. Like the response was nuts. It was just like, yo, you are a natural bald, right? Like that's where you should have been. And I felt that. Like I felt like I was my dad is bald, my grandfather's bald. The top men in my life who were my mentor, they just always been. So I'm like, man, I got to do this like them. You get what I'm saying? Or if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And so I just popped out like, yo, I'm bald now. Like, what's up? And I think the response was one that made me confident in my bald. Yeah. So the community around me really responded like, yo, it fits you, it looks good. And I think half the time, a lot of people go, I can't be bald because it would look funny. And it's like, hey now, big guy, you look crazy right now. How much crazier can you look because you're bald? It's like, at least you're uniform, right? At least everything looks the same. But when you patch it here and wide open here and got a crisp here and now it's super dark, nah, focus on one thing. Get you a beard, okay? Because being a bald man with no beard is almost like, yeah, right? What are you doing? You got to have hair somewhere, right? But that's why I think a lot of people focus on getting a beard together first, and then they pop out with the bald, which I think is an amazing tactic. Just do not be a bald man around here without something else to focus on, because now it just becomes all about your face.
So, bro, oh man, first off, dog, you're hilarious, man. You got me crying. But one thing I've seen for sure is, a pattern that I see is like homies would definitely come home and they would drop it on the gram, or even if they don't drop it on the gram, that reception they get from, their significant other or their friends, coworkers that day really plays a major part in how easy they're able to accept and embrace their new look, right? So you talking about you, and I need you to find that pic on the gram. Actually, what's your IG? Let me go and follow you right now, man.
It's Terrence with all E's. Terrence Takes the Town.
Terrence.
Yeah, and takes, and then it should just pop up.
Takes the towel. I got you. All right, I'm gonna find that pic for sure.
It's down there.
But you're telling me you dropped on the gram and you get an amazing reaction, right? So
yeah.
What we doing at the brand now, we call them that's your homecoming. You know what I'm saying? That's your homecoming. And people show you love at your homecoming, you know what I'm saying? And that's important, bro, because everybody, especially guys that are dealing with some kind of change, need some kind of positive reinforcement, man. And you got that. So after you get that positive reinforcement, I imagine that homie like you out on Aruba just you jiggy now. Nobody can stop you.
I was loving it. It was a response. It was the response I needed, man. And like, even as I'm sitting here going through this gram right now, I'm like, man, I did bald, right? Because right before I did bald, I tried to do long hair, right? And so maybe like 6 months to a year before that, I did the long hair thing. Actually, that picture from Aruba's gone. Ouch. I'll find it. But
need it, bro. I need it.
Yeah, it was a vibe, man. There was a method to my madness, right? And I think that's the key for anybody who's considering going bald. Like, don't let nobody rush you to your baldness. Don't let your anxiety take over and tell you shouldn't be bald, because it's not going to be a good. It's literally something you have to embrace, right? And that's just like anytime you look different, anytime you throw on a new scent, right? Like, people going to ask you, what's that you wearing, right? Anytime you go bald, people going to ask, damn, how long you been bald? What was that about, right? Like, were you losing your hair? Did you just, whatever your story is, you got to be able to speak and walk in that story confidently. And so I think I was just ready for a new me. And I think that's for anybody who cuts their dreads off for the first time. And it's like, damn, I've been growing these for 10. I had hair for 25 years. Mm-hmm. So cutting that hair off was like a flashback to everything I remember doing to maintain and present that image and take care of myself. So it was a weight lifted, right? It was like, phew, I don't go back to the barber anymore consistently. Like, literally, I hop in the barber now when I feel like I miss the barbershop presence, right? The community in the barbershop is different. So I jump in now to go get my beard lined up. Not like I can't go do it, but every month and a half, 2 months, I'll stop into the barber because I like otherwise.
Yeah, already.
Otherwise, I'm gonna do what I got to do to take care of me.
So I got to take you back to something else you said, because it hit home, and I think this is a powerful message. You mentioned, well, actually, there's two. Though you've been dropping a lot of gems. First, you mentioned like you have to be able to embrace it, and I think there's two sides of that coin, bro. And I think the most important side that you actually kind of make me realize right now is you kind of need to embrace it before. A lot of people wait and, all right, I shaved. Okay, let me get used to this look. I'm still wearing hats for a while. Am I going to get positive reinforcement? But you actually embraced it, honestly, before. You, like you said, you was already ready.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a major key that I haven't heard on this yet, is that embracing it beforehand may actually solve a lot of the issues you're going to deal with.
That's any anxiety though, right? That's any type of next step, next season. It's like, yo, if you're not in the preparation stages before you get there, you're not ready. You already behind. That's anything in life, right? So for me, I just took a concept that I already understood in life. And at that point, maybe even prematurely, I didn't understand it then, but maybe the bald thing was really what made me understand, like, if you apply this principle, you'll be better off in life, because it's all about the sowing of the seed. It's all about the preparation season. So if I walked into bald and I wasn't looking at, damn, I put that seed right there, and I'm looking at that crop that I already, you know what I'm saying, I was working on. I was watering myself. I was I was putting myself in the sun already before I came out. And so when I came home, it was like, oh, I was supposed to already be here. This feels good. It feels natural.
It feels
right?
like
So
home.
I think it's important for people with any journey in life to worry on the prep. If you're gonna worry about anything, prepare for the next season. Prepare for your new self. Prepare for what it feels like to walk differently and talk differently. Because if you have to speak a different language, you can't learn. You're already behind, right? Being bald is speaking a different language. We don't talk the same, right? I don't walk the same as I did before. I'm a bald man. It's nothing y'all can do, because people understand that being bald is literally liberating, right? They understand that when you see bald men, you like, ooh, you went through a journey. You embrace this thing, right? When I see bald women, I'm like, sheesh, you embrace this thing, because it's not easy. Everybody wants to have hair. Everybody wants to have these locks. It makes you feel different. Now, being bald is what really makes you feel different. But everybody,
Pastor Stephen, Jesus Christ.
everybody's not gonna get there. They don't deserve to be there, bro.
Oh, my dog is on hell today, and I love it. Talking that talk.
It's just
Woo!
it's
Yo, this is beautiful, man. This is beautiful, bro. I'm gonna circle back to another thing you said, because I think you're gonna have something else to say on this too. You mentioned the fact your dad was bald, your grandpa was bald, a lot of the mentors in your life were bald, a lot of the powerful, dope men you knew were bald. So that helped you kind of get ready to embrace that. Bro, I don't know if people know this, but we talk about it on from the brand perspective for sure. There's actually research that says bald men are perceived to be more confident, to be more intelligent, to be more powerful, to be more dominant. That is a perception from the outside, right? So when you're saying that, it's like, yo, it's kind of putting more evidence to that fact. Like, you know what I'm saying? You walk into the room as a bald man, people notice you. There's an aura off gate. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that I think people are scared of it, but realistically, right now, when you're losing your hair, you're in the stage where you probably aren't feeling confident at all. You're probably not feeling dominant at all. And we try to tell you, hey, on the other side of that transformation, this is how people are going to perceive you. You know what I'm talking about?
Being bald to me, with all of those words you just mentioned, there's also a sense of needing to be a leader, right? Because being bald is different. And so typically those that are different are on that I can stand on my own and be a leader in this, right? In this way. So I think to me, it goes back to those who are confident in leading, in their ability in leading and being different and standing out, versus those who just want to be like everybody else, right? It touches into that too. And I think I think if a lot more men who are losing their hair understood the level of pride you take in yourself when you can walk around like a bald man, they would be more inclined to do it. But also, if you are not a strong leader and you are not confident in your image, no matter what you look like, right? But how do you carry it? I mean, I could have on the flyest outfit as a bald man, or I could be a bald man with nothing on and kill the next one when he got a head full of hair, because I'm a bald man walking, right? Like, so it's really the way that you embrace your image regardless. And so I think a lot of us, especially Black men, just don't have the level of confidence and self-security to embrace that, right? And it's unfortunate. I had an easier route to baldness because I embraced it, but because I also was not balding in the middle and it wasn't falling out and I wasn't looking. I just noticed a difference in the way that I could wear my hair at one point to the way I had to wear it to keep it up, right? And my haircuts became lower and lower and lower so you can fade it in. And I'm like, bro, stop playing with my hairline. Stop playing with me. Like, you just want me to come in so you can get this money, but I want to be free from this clipper and this need to, I was getting mad, right? I need to come in here every week. Like, and I remember him telling me, like, yeah, if you want to keep it looking like that, even. And I was like, shit, we got about 2 more weeks of this. I remember it. Like, nah, this is running up. I'm paying you too much. I gotta come in here on Thursday instead of Friday, like, because you booked on Friday. Like, no. Nope. And I remember just, I called a couple people, like, hey, what do you do? What do you use?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that, bro. Like, did you holler at anybody before you decided, like, hey, I'm about to do it? Did your pops talk to me about that?
Yeah, nobody major related to me. I hollered at people that I actually knew. Shout out to Brian Scott, ex NFL guy. I think his last team might have been the Bills or the Falcons, but a good friend of mine. I remember calling him specifically. I remember calling him and going, what do you use to shave? What kind of razor, right? Are you using a straight razor? Are you using a brawn, a brick, a razor blade? Like, what are you using? And then I remember him sending me, and I use it to this day, it's 5 years later, I remember him sending me this kind of no bump situation. He was like, look, I shave, I use this no bump like alcohol solution afterwards. And then there's a number of kind of moisturizers that I'll use, just depending on, you know what I'm saying? I'm going through some things still, trying to figure out which one's the best for me. But I remember calling Brian, and like, he was just the one I remember always shaving, right? And like always having a slick bald head.
Well, I need you to plug with Brian. I need you to plug with Brian.
Man, Brian is dope, dude. And we were all actually in a group, a singing group. So it's all ex-NFL guys who are in a singing group. A whole nother story for another day. But I was very close and connected to B. So for me, it was like, again, I was doing the research. I was preparing. I was telling people, like, I need you to have my back, send me products, tell me what you do, how you do it. And I've seen people shave in so many different ways, right? I remember going to one of my homies' house, and after he saw my head, he was like, I need you to show me how to shave. And I pulled up to his house with my shaver.
Brotherhood.
And I remember shaving this man's head, like, why is your shit still like coarse, right? He was like, man, you can't do what you do to your head with mine. And I'm like, right? He goes in the shower and he shaves his head because he needed some moisture. I dry shave. So everybody's shaving journey is different. Their technique is different. And so some people love a straight razor. Some people love a 3-blade, a 4-blade, 5-blade. I love my electric shaver, right? I don't have to worry about cuts, dings. I don't have to worry about being in the shower. Again, I wake up, it's dry. I give you one of the, call it a day. And it's soft. Don't let people fool you. You do not need to razor shave to have a baby soft head, okay? You can use an electric shaver and have a baby soft head, and you will probably avoid a lot of the razor bumps that you do. Shout out to Braun, plug me in, okay? Because I swear by Braun products, like some of the cleanest shave I've ever had.
No doubt. Yo, that's dope. And I want to ask you about, came home, had the great housewarming, a homecoming. When you start meeting people after you were bald, people who never knew you prior to that. Something I used to always get, bro, is I'll tell people, especially now that I'm building this, they'll be like, oh, yeah, you had hair in the back in the past? I was like, yeah, I had hair. It's like, yo, I can never imagine you with hair. Do you ever get that? People's like, yo, you look so good, bald, I can't imagine you having no hair.
All the time. And when I tell people that, and the first place I go to is the gram, and I'm like, I go back sometimes, I'm like, man, I had hair. Like, I had curly hair. my curly hair was then cut down and I had the waves, and like I had a good grain and texture of hair. So when I go back and show people, they're like, damn, why you cut it? I was ready to be bald, right? Like it was just time. And it was like, were you there? Like, I don't see you bald. You wasn't gonna see it, right? I didn't want you to see it, right? They're just, if I could avoid it, then
Dude,
you know what I'm
you
saying?
preaching right now, T, because it's crazy because, I mean, I showed you my pic just now. So you saw how deep I went into it before. I was like, yo, I got to come home. You know what I'm saying? But that's a lot of guys' problems, though. I mean, dog, you were so proactive. You didn't have to deal with the anxiety. You didn't have to deal with the embarrassment, where so many guys actually walk themselves right into it.
I think I was really going through too much anxiety with other things that I wasn't going to let baldness be the thing that really added on. So for me, it was like, yo, you either embrace this or stop thinking about it. What you focus on expands. So I was like, look, if I focus on being a dominant, good looking, bald black man, and that's what I'm going to be. But if I shy away from this, the homie's going to roast me. It's going to get worse. It's going to cost me more money. So there's more, like, there are way more solutions than problems in life. I found my one solution that handled a lot of problems before they could even really become problems. And so the solution was going bald.
Wow. All right, bro, man. This has been a dope episode, man. I need to take us into our lightning round. Before I take us into that right quick, though, I need to ask you about your routine. I know you've talked about it a bit already. I'll try to walk through it because I feel like you've already given me all the keys. I feel like you said every day and a half you shaving.
Every
Right out of bed,
day,
basically you dry shaving.
No more than 2 to 3 days. Okay. If it's gotten on the third day, I've been lazy. Okay. Right. Okay. I mean, I'm not moving around or doing what I need to do, or like, but I take my razor with me everywhere. Like, it's portable. Take it on trips overseas. I have to have my razor.
No doubt.
Yeah. So that like every 2 to 3 days, I put on my no bump, and I get my little sting, as I know I got myself a good shave. Mm-hmm. And actually, not even to make it seem like it's all pretty. I'm currently going through this thing where if I shave and then I start sweating a lot, let's say I go to a concert or I go out and I've just shaved that day, my head gets really itchy, especially the back of it. And I just caught myself like last week being sick of it. So I'm Googling like, why does your head get itchy after you shave and you start sweating? I'm thinking it has something to do with pores or whatever. So maybe we'll be able to kind of come up with the answer and figure it out. But I make sure to shave. I make sure to put my no bump on. And then like one of the things that Brian told me years ago, and I kind of still use their product, but I've been looking for another one, is $5 Shave Club? Is that
Dollar Shave Club.
And Dollar Shave Club. So they have a moisturizer that is actually really, really good. It's not too heavy. It's not too oily. And that is what I use for my moisturizer. It's very quick application, dries up, and just leaves you feeling smooth. Y'all got me wanting to like go shave right now, just like go out somewhere, right? Because again, it's nothing like a clean shave, but my routine is very simple. It's usually dry. Typically, it's always dry. Once I get that dryness, put my no bump on. I don't think I need it, but it still gives me that. When you used to go to the barbershop and they hit you with one of these, it gives me that feel. And then I put my moisturizer on just so I feel like if somebody rub across my hair right now, they're gonna be like, buddy got it together.
They know the vibes.
Yeah.
So funny thing, bro, you mentioned a couple of things in that obviously with me doing a whole bunch of research on bald men, talking to so many bald men, trying to understand what do bald men need in products. We're trying to solve that for you. So you mentioned one, the sweating thing. Because like obviously we the same person, I know. So I'm like, I'm walking down the street, minding my business, and I'm sweating. I'm like, what's going on? So we actually kind of put something in our scalp moisturizer that helps your head absorb moisture faster, so you're not having to deal with that. And we also try to put something in there that helps your hair grow slower. all natural ingredients that helps your hair grow slower over time. So as you apply it over time, instead of having to shave every day and a half, you can now shave every 3 days, every 4 days. So we're really trying to solve some of the main points, pain points that bald men deal with. So it's a play around the confidence thing, like, yo, it's dope to be bald, so stop running. But then it's also too like, hey, we want to give you the products that you need to maintain that too, man. So we trying to, bro. We trying to. So we can go into the lightning round next, dog. We've heard your story, which is probably been one of the best we heard on this video series to date. So salute you for that, my G. Now we're gonna go into the lightning round. The first question I got for you is hats. You talked about hats a little bit earlier, Brody. But you also, I feel like you said at some point, you said you're not really a hat man, but that might have changed since you went bald. Do you have a go-to hat? What's up with that?
If anything, it's probably gonna be a beanie, right? I'll throw a look together and but I can't do beanies and that throws off the summer vibes, okay? Because it's too damn hot to wear a beanie in the summer. So my style definitely changes in the fall and the winter because I can throw a beanie on and complete a look. While I know so many people who have hair, but they still put their fitteds on and throw it together with their look. And I'm just not one to wear those style hats. Do I want to open it up? Do I maybe even want to create something for men with bigger heads, right? Because I think we just have a lot of bigger men in general, but especially men with bigger heads. I remember always having to wear 2X helmets and size 8 hats and like, right? So a hat is kind of like a hit or miss for me, right? But I enjoy a good colored beanie.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, man. I got a red beanie that everybody knows me for, man. I pull that time is fall or spring, I'm pulling that beanie out on a regular.
Yeah.
To your point, I had to start expanding. I probably own like 8 to 10 beanies now, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So when fall and winter come on, definitely doing that. Next question, bro. You might already answered this too, but I'm gonna ask you just in case you give a different answer. You talked about a lot of different products that you use to maintain your current look. What would you say is that product that you have to have? Like you can't move without this specific product. Grooming.
I think it's my Braun 7 series. I think I'm still on the 7 series, but they're like 9 series in right now. So I think I just told myself the other day it's time for a new shaver. Like I want to make that move and see with a new fresh feel.
Tell me why. Tell me why. Is that just like
I don't know. I think if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? And I've put a lot of people on to this electric shave. I brought a lot of people home.
Right? My man, as you should, bro. You gotta pay for it.
My homies, people who have asked me, even my best friend in LA, he's like, I think I'm gonna cut my hair. I'm like, do it this way. Think about this. And like, it took him a minute to really embrace it. Now, every time I call him, he's like, yeah, I'm shaving my head. So there's a bond that's created too with those who are looking to get into being bald, like, and just like anybody else's journey, you want to go to people that you love and trust and ask them how you got there. So my Braun, like that shaver and its charger, because I have definitely left the country for 10 days and tried to preserve my battery with that charger, and it might not work. So now I gotta think about how to preserve 10 days worth of Braun shave. So I gotta shave every 2 or 3 days instead of every 1 or 2. But I need that shaver, okay? Like, and I think if I had to go back to like a razor shave, I'd probably be miserable. But I would do it.
No doubt, no doubt. Okay, that Braun. Shout out to them, man. And he say he might come up on that 9 series soon, man.
And whatever series they have, that's the newest. I think the thing like $320, but I've had the same shaver for 5 years. So it's an investment. And if you break that down into 60 months, what did I just do? I mean, I saved a world of money not going to the barber.
Yep. Okay. We'll get to the Mount Rushmore of bald man next. You know what I'm saying? Like we've dropped names already on this video about who men that might have influenced your decision to come home, men that are just killing it in several different areas of life. But if you had to pick four men to be on that Mount Rushmore of most iconic bald men, talk to me, T.
It's got to be MJ.
Facts.
Root of the Bros. It's got to be Wesley Snipes. Wesley was just, is Wes bald? I remember
No,
Wes.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if Wes is bald, and you're like the third person that brought up Wesley Snipes. And I remember him in Blade; he was not bald.
That's where we go back all the time. And that's the last time I remember him having hair. If I'm not mistaken, Wesley is bald now, and I don't know if I'm not the first one. Then I think Wes is bald.
Yeah, he's been named before.
Who else? Phew, I've never been asked this question. This is a tough one. Tell me somebody else.
Many. All right, there's so many. I'll just drop a couple names for you. I'll start with Tupac Shakur.
Okay.
You had DMX.
Okay. All right. Sorry. DMX has to go on my list, right? Like DMX been bald since we knew DMX. So RIP DMX, you definitely going on my Mount Rushmore. Who else you got from
RPX? We had Kobe before he passed. Kobe made that transition too.
Definitely came home.
You got Floyd Mayweather. You got The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, biggest actor in Hollywood. You got Jojo. I'll just come on, man. Shaq.
I think The Rock is gonna go on mine too, right? When I think about men that we've known to be bald for a while and embrace that thing, right? Like The Rock was one of those men who just stood up like a man, right? And and he did what he was supposed to do in representation.
Yep. All right, so let's run that back. You had The Rock,
Kobe,
DMX,
MJ, and Wesley, but
you had X up there. So you had X up there too.
X, The Rock, MJ, and Wesley Snipes.
No doubt. That's 4. That's a lock. Okay, no doubt.
On Wesley's baldness. I don't want to give him credit if he's not what he
said.
Yeah,
check that, man, because I've been unsure. People have been saying it, but I'm like, I don't know.
Why do I think he's bald?
You're not seeing nothing?
He is bald now. I think this is crazy. These are older pictures. I'm seeing current pictures of Wesley bald. Yeah, he's bald now. Okay.
But do you remember any roles when he was bald? Like, I don't remember Wesley in no movies.
No, but he's definitely bald now. Wesley has had so many different hairstyles. I can see that. But in Blade, he had the little high top. I don't know that Wesley can make my shout out to Wes, but he's definitely not in my Mount Rushmore. Yeah, I gotta find one to replace Wes. We're gonna have to get back to that.
All right, no doubt.
I tried to give my boy some love, man.
Last two questions for you, man. One, I know you're gonna preach on this one. That's what we need. Obviously, the idea of Come Home is really to support men who are going through that hair loss journey, dealing with anxiety, embarrassment, sometimes even depression. Bro, I can show you a subreddit where guys are talking, they're dealing with hair loss and like, yo, what should I do? And I mean, some of the messages I've been reading up there is like, yo, like this is sad. Like people are really dealing with it. So if you know somebody that's watching this episode right now, bro, they tuned in, what advice would you give them if they're still struggling with hair loss?
Let it go. I mean, and that applies to many more things in your life than baldness. So start somewhere, right? Start with the little things. Cutting your hair off is a lie. It almost feels traumatic if you feel like you're reinventing yourself. So start with letting some little stressors go, right? Start with relieving yourself of self-confidence issues, right? There's letting it's almost like being in a toxic relationship with your hair, right? Like you're in a relationship with your hair and it's not a good one. It's winning, right? It's beating your ass, actually. And so you have to let it go. But because we have attachment issues, right? And typically we have attachment issues to things that don't cause us any good, right? So this balding pattern that you're holding onto is only causing you more harm. Let it go, right? And so it's really, I think we start with the things that may seem a little bit easier. So now we work ourselves in the process of letting things go that are not serving us. When your hair is causing you harm and stress and discomfort, and high maintenance, it's not serving you, right? So let it go, right? And I think that's just an overall message. Let whatever's not serving you anymore go, and you'll feel that life feels so much more free when you let that go.
A word. I knew it's gonna happen. I knew it's gonna happen. But that's a word, man. Final question, my dog. Final question. We talk about come home in the respect of losing your hair, embracing that, but also the way we spell it for the brand is in French and it translates to English to me like a man or as a man. So there is also a piece of manhood that we want to bring into the conversation as well. And based on this conversation, there's a piece of like an evolution of manhood that you're getting into when you finally like, I'm done with this childish whatever I was dealing with up top, and now I'm embracing this new look. But Brody, when it comes to manhood, what does it mean to you today, bro? 2021, I feel like the concept of being a man has changed a lot in the past, 20, 30 years. What does it mean to you today to be a man, fam?
Man, let me try to keep this short because I think I can run on with this one too. There's so much of an attack on what it means to be a man in our Black community in ways that are beneficial and ways that are detrimental. So for me, I think manhood is being able to walk into a place and command respect, right? By your presence, not even what you say out of your mouth, but the way that you walk in and how you look, right? The way that you take care of your responsibilities, not anybody else's, not somebody who you are, your responsibilities, right? Are you a man in the way that you handle your business? Personal, pleasure, doesn't matter, right? Are you a man in that way? Are you a provider, okay? For yourself, for the family that you've created, right? Um, and I think the most important one, right? And especially in our community, is how effectively do you bring other people along, right? That's probably at the top of my list. I can't tell you the amount of times where I've talked to somebody about their baldness or their journey and it made me feel like I'm lifting while I'm climbing. I'm climbing along this journey of bald manhood, and I know somebody else who's just getting started, right? I have a responsibility to them. And so but that's outside of taking care of my responsibilities. That's me reaching back and sharing knowledge, sharing product, sharing uplift, right? Telling people it's okay to let it go. It's not serving you anymore, right? All of those things are how you take the next man and bring them up to the pedestal that they deserve to be on. And so ultimately, being a man is how well you take care of yourself, first and foremost, then take care of your responsibilities, secondly, but then how well you or how effectively you are taking care of those who look up to you, who understand, who are trying to understand what you've been through and are going along their own personal journey. How do you do that? Do you do that? Right? And if you do, your concept of manhood is already far beyond a lot of these people who don't engage in that type of activity. Because to me, that is a man.
Hey man, we know you're an entrepreneur, man. Your wordsmith game is bananas. The message, the delivery is bananas, dog, man. Everything about it, we love it, dog. We love it, dog.
I appreciate
This
y'all
has
having
been
me, and this has been a
an
blessing.
impressive episode, man. Definitely my favorite episode. And you didn't give us so many gems, man. You probably gonna see your episode cut up in so many different ways. We're gonna use it long form, short form. I might make some reels out of it. You just giving us way too many gems, and we appreciate you 10 times for joining us today, bro.
Definitely. I appreciate y'all having me, man.
So we're gonna ask you one more time because I'm sure there's people watching this episode that loved it, may want to tap in with you. Can you drop in your IG one more time, IG?
Yeah, it's Terrence, Terrence. Terrence takes the town. All of that spelled out. It's just me on my real estate, travel, and personal journey, being a Black bald man. So y'all come and check it out, man. I love it. If you're ever in the A, come check me out in the A. I love being bald, and you should too. It's definitely a blessing.
My man. Normally I give a little speech at the end of it, but I'm gonna just close with that, dog. I'm gonna just close with that. Y'all, to the next episode of Ball to Ball. We'll catch y'all later.
Peace.